basically, I want to whet your appetites, and you are going to pick different gods or goddesses and myths that you want to research for your project. So, yes, I did say that in my video. Yes, Alicia, darling.
Can I choose Athena?
Yeah, you're going to be allowed to pick whichever one you want, hon.
I want to do
Yay.
Athena.
It's
Listen,
okay.
I still want to do.
we could have 37 Athenas if we want. I mean, it'd be weird because there's only like 21 people in the class, but maybe 37, who knows? All right, so the gods of Olympus. So why 13? We talked about this in our Do Now. The Greeks wanted to explain the world around them. I mean, we have, how they explain lightning. Well, that's Zeus throwing his lightning bolt. Thank you. So war is between two. There's Athena, who's goddess of war, and she's like the military strategy. That's when you have General Gus, and he's like in the room with the maps there, and like, yes, we'll strike on their flank there and move around and do this. Whereas Ares is the god of war, like Frenzy, when like Carson has like, the blood of his enemies all over him, and he's like slicing and dicing people, and he doesn't want to stop. Exactly, he does do that. Yes, sir. What? Okay, but yeah, alrighty. Focus on that. I will excuse you from the history thing. That has to get done. Miss Southern was like, "They can do it." Actually, she wasn't evil. I was the one. Okay, there wasn't that much evil in it, but it's more fun to pretend there was. All right, so we have mythology, these stories to explain the world around them. Why there are earthquakes, why there are the sun going across the side. This is all how the Greeks explain how it was. Now, these gods, they were like people, but they also weren't like people because they had magical powers. So they said, sometimes the gods, they go to Earth, sometimes they go even fall in love, get married, sometimes to gods and goddesses, sometimes to regular people. You have demigods, and they cause all sorts of crazy, hair-brained, extravaganza fun things and crazy, sad things. Now, the Greeks, they're going to acknowledge the gods, but each city-state will have its own favorite. Yes, Gus? Exactly, yeah. So Gus was just saying how, in mythology, we have a lot of like the most famous people, like Hercules, they're a demigod. One of his parents is a god. And others, just the famous, that's because they've got god blood in them. That's how they explain things, why people are more extra awesome and stuff. So from here, you should know that the Greeks had mythology to explain the world around them. So the Greeks had mythology to explain the world around them. Dude, sitting like a bump in a log, the only thing it does is makes me tell mom to sit like a bump in a log. So I would probably not sit like a bump in a log and kind of, go to class. Get something out of it instead of not getting anything out of it. Here we have a, yes, Alicia, darling.
Yeah. One of the reasons that they acknowledged all gods is because to being like, this one's my favorite, I'm only going to worship this one, was, you displeased one of the gods.
Oh, yeah, it's bad news for you.
Like, I remember a story where it was like sacrificing and giving things to all of the gods, and they forgot Artemis in this town. So Artemis sent a giant boar with like fire breath and needles instead of fur. And it was like massive, like the size of a tank, and it rampaged all around their city for like a year.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. So thank you for adding that, Alicia. I really appreciate you because that's exactly it. Like you can't take the gods off or like they get their revenge. And that's great. You can. So here's a map just showing some of the city-states, not all of them because there are hundreds. So Athens had Athena, and actually Greek, you call Athens Athena. There we go. So let's keep on going. Yes, Gus, sir? Oh, you're talking about probably Poseidon or Athena. And we'll get to that myth later on, actually. All right, so Greek oracles. What's an oracle? One of the things that we wanted to focus on today Yes, Carson, sir?
An oracle is like a picture that someone
Okay, but what does the oracle tell them?
the oracle tells them they're supposed to Greeks believed each person had a fate or destiny, and they wrote that out. It's very good.
Not quite. So Carson is saying they wrote an oracle. So this is kind of going. So an oracle told them their destiny. So you would go to the oracle. So they believed everybody had something they were meant to do. Carson is meant to do something. So he goes to an oracle. He says, I want to know what the gods think I'm supposed to do. Now, so he might go to the oracle at Delphi, which is the most famous, and he's going to go talk to a priest or priestess, often priestesses. Now, we found at Delphi, it's like one of these natural fissures where all this like natural gas is like leaking through the ground. And so this priest or priestess is there getting zonked out of their mind, killing all of their brain cells, not getting enough oxygen to their head, and they are cuckoo. So when Carson goes and says, what is my destiny, great oracle of Delphi? They might hear like a who's a what's it's blah 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 two frogs boat. And Carson goes, what? A who's a what's it's blah blah two frogs boat. And then Carson realizes that his true destiny is to be swift like a frog as he swims in the Olympics. I don't know. I'm just making something up. So it was kind of that kind of kookiness that they would get. So we need to know from this slide here that an oracle was someone that the Greeks went to teach and learn their destiny. Darlin, I know you've got a million stories, and I want you to share them with your project. The problem is we have to like quickly go through some of this because I need you to have time to actually work on your project. So I appreciate you, and I'm sorry. I really wish we could spend like a month on this, but we're about actually a month behind because of all the continuity of learning stuff and things like that. So we'll never get to Rome if we spend as much time as we can here, or China. And now, so like I said, sometimes these are in riddles. Like I said, the main idea you have to know here is that the Greeks, they go to the oracles to learn their destiny. All right, that's the main point from this slide. Now, there are times though that these oracles weren't always necessarily, let's say, honest. So, for example, when the Athenians wanted to overthrow their tyrant, they bribed the oracle at Delphi to say, when anytime a Spartan comes here, tell them that you won't give them their reading, their future, their destiny until they help the Athenians. And so, Avery goes up. He's like, hey, should I plant cabbage or spinach in my garden this year? The answers are unclear until you help your Athenian brethren. It's like, no, seriously, I just want to know, spinach, cabbage, what do you think is going to grow? But the answers are unclear until you help your Athenian brothers. Aiden comes up saying, hey, should I get married to this girl or should I wait? The answers are unclear until you have helped your Athenian brothers. And eventually the Spartans got so ticked off that they're like, all right, fine, we'll go help you overthrow this tyrant jerk so that we can go have our answers from the oracles again. Anyways, like I said, very brief overviews. You need to know who the god is, what they are god of. That's basically all you really need from these slides here. We could, like I said, talk for a week about each of these and not be fully exhausted on these things, but we got to keep moving. So Zeus, we know, leader of the Olympians. You're all probably familiar with Zeus, king of the gods. Remember, I read it, not history. I read it, not history. I'm sorry. I wish it was history, but we got to get this done, broski. And he's god of the sky, god of lightning, god of thunder. Symbol is a thunderbolt. Married his sister Hera, which is gross, but we're going to see the gods. I didn't notice that whole familiar family thing. They kind of was bad about that. But also, he was a terrible cheater. That's right. Married to Hera, fell in love every time he went to Earth, it seemed. Winds up marrying a mortal. Those mortals often wound up dying because Hera's like, hey, you can't marry my husband. He's my husband. So boys and girls, if a god or goddess ever tries to fall in love with you and marry you, just say no. Just walk away. Gods and goddesses are trouble when they start coming onto Earth and trying to marry you, or they ask you who's the prettiest. It's not going to work out well for you. Just run away. I mean, it's a lose-lose situation. Yeah, you don't want the Greek gods visiting you. But yeah, so he's going to have a lot of demigods coming from. He's going to have a lot of kids, like Hercules, for example. And Hera hated Hercules because Zeus cheated on her to have Hercules. So yeah, it gets messy and complicated. Hera, the queen of the gods, and she's goddess of marriage. Now, it's actually one of these things that we think Hera might have been worshipped before Zeus, because we find the oldest temples are actually dedicated to Hera, which is kind of interesting. Her symbol is the peacock, a symbol of beauty. Sometimes even in her myth, she turns into a peacock, which is pretty cool. That's one thing that these gods and goddesses will do all the time too. They just change shape and form to try to trick you. That was one of Zeus's favorite tricks too. He'd like change into something else to try to trick girls and be like, "Hey, baby, I love you." Yeah. Like I said, if some animal ever changes shape back into a person and then proposes their love to you, I'd probably run away too. Yes, Aaron, sir.
Are any of these gods real, or are they all just myths?
This is all mythology. I mean, I don't want to break anybody's heart who's like a Greek pantheist, although I'm pretty sure that has died out in that religion. But yeah, we're pretty sure that this is all just story, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Until Mariah like whips out her family tree. She's like, actually, my great grandfather was Zeus. And that's why she shoots electricity at me sometimes. That's
Actually,
purple.
his name is
I thought she was just a Sith. All right, Poseidon. God of the sea. So you need to know Poseidon, God of the sea. He's got his trident. Tri for 3. It's like 3 little pointy things. Zeus's brother. He had a sweet chariot that he gets to ride through the sea. And as you know, anybody who's read any Percy Jackson books knows he causes a ton of trouble going on. I know, they're so good. They're so good. And now like they've branched out and have like Hindu mythology and Norse mythology and Egyptian mythology. It is just a great series. It really is. But yeah, like I said, you just really from these need to know Poseidon, god of the sea, Zeus, god of the sky, Hera, goddess of marriage. All right. We're just quickly going through some of these. Like I said, you're going to pick your favorites and then do a little project on it. And I want to introduce that project soon so you have plenty of time to work on it. Hades! Oh, Aaron is so excited. He's like, yes, I love the god of the dead. Kind of scary, bro. Yeah. Now, Hades, so he kind of got the raw end of the deal here. You know, one brother gets the sky, his other brother gets the sea, and what does he get left with? A bunch of dead people. Bummer, right? But he's behind the whole story with Persephone and Demeter. Once again, God falls in love with someone, so Hades falls in love, says, oh, come here, got this. Eat this magical pomegranate. I swear it won't keep your soul stuck in Hades. And she eats like half of it before she's stopped. And so then for part of half of it. So then she's stuck for part of the year in the underworld. Yes, sir. Yeah, exactly. He had to go into Hades, go in the underground. The name of the hero, I know Alicia knows it. I can't remember off the top of my. Is it Perseus? Alicia, Perseus? Well, Perseus did a ton of stuff. I'm pretty sure he saved Demeter too, or not Demeter, or Persephone. Sorry, darling, was it Perseus that saved Persephone too?
No one saved her.
Yeah, no, he went down to the underworld and stopped her from eating the rest of the pomegranate.
Hermes?
Oh, it was Hermes. You're right. Hermes is, I think maybe Perseus and Hermes were working together. I can't. Perseus is somewhere in the story with it. But anyways.
Yeah, Perseus tries to kidnap Persephone.
Yeah. Demeter is sad. So it's wintertime because her daughter is stuck in the underworld with Hades. Summertime, he's happy because they're out frolicking in the grass together. Spring, it's getting warmer because she's getting sad. Yes, my daughter is coming home. And of course, fall, she's getting sad because, oh, my daughter has to go to the underworld. But let's face it, Hades has the coolest pet in all of mythology here. I mean, okay, the Pegasus is pretty cool too, but Cerberus, three-headed dog, ferocious, and plus everyone always talks about Poseidon with his trident. Hades has a bident for two. Sam's like, man, I'm going to invent the quadent, which is actually a fork. That was good. All right. Austin, did you have something you wanted to say or ask a question about, sir?
I thought Zeus made a deal with Hades, and then
Yeah, they all made a deal together and they divvied up the world, and like Hades got the raw end of the deal.
just she can't be in the underworld forever. She has to come back up in the what
Well,
we
yeah,
call now spring.
because
and
she
summer.
ate 6 of the pomegranate things. All right, seeds. That's going to be our notes for the day. So, like I said, I know we flew through those gods and goddesses. I would have loved to have spent way more time on them. I really would have. Normally, we do like a whole big book.